that makes Downing Street security look a little bit like a playground, frankly. Lots of
Well,
big Secret Service, lot of Secret Service people going through my bag. This
they're all about
suspicious level of
7 foot
detail.
12 as well, aren't they? Yes. Well, listen,
That's right.
we'll make sure you get through security next Thursday when you are in this very seat presenting Talk Drive. So that will be great between 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock next Thursday. But for this Thursday, for today, Harry, the day that it's in, can you just bring us up to date about your last 24 hours? You've been speaking to Starmer on the plane on the way over. He's had a big event with Lord Mandelson, the new ambassador. Just bring us right up to date in terms of what's been happening.
So we're waiting right now for Starmer to arrive. He's sort of minutes away. He spent the morning huddled up in briefings with his top team, getting ready for what is really a make-or-break sort of summit for him. I just asked Theresa May what a bad relationship with Donald Trump can be like for a British Prime Minister, and he's going to be around, he hopes, for as long as Trump is in the White House. So this first meeting at the White House with Donald Trump as president has been weeks in the planning, and he is desperate for it to go well. But of course, there are a lot of bear traps where it could go wrong. On the way over, on the flight, he came back, had a chat with the press. I've never seen a Prime Minister do a sort of a better impression of trying to be completely calm and relaxed, but also desperate not to put a single foot wrong before he gets across the door here in the White House, gets into the Oval Office. We hope in about half an hour's time. Now, he was saying, look, I'm not going to get ahead of the meetings. I'm not going to get ahead of the meetings. But what is clear is he is here for one big ask when it comes to Ukraine. He has made a big offer for British troops to police any future negotiated peace in Ukraine with Russia, but he's being very clear that says that has to be a credible deterrent for it to be a lasting peace rather than just a ceasefire that would allow Putin to rearm and come back for another go. So he needs to convince Donald Trump, who has been very vocal, saying this is a European problem, America needs its money back, doesn't want to get involved anymore. Will they still have US air power? That's crucially what he's after, as a sort of backstop, a sort of a last resort, underwriting a European defence of Ukraine, because the accepted reality of the world is Europe has underspent on defence for too long, and we don't have the capability to be a credible threat without the might of America. Now, that doesn't just mean missiles and bombers, but, they will be there as a sort of implicit threat. It's spy planes, spy satellites, infrastructure from the air to protect whichever European troops do eventually, hopefully, end up on the ground, in Starmer's view, policing a negotiated peace deal.
Yes, it's very interesting. And just to go back to the phrase you used at the very start there, Harry, make or break. I mean, in what way will this be judged a success if Starmer gets what he wants? Because that, in the context of what you're talking about, seems to be pretty unlikely.
I don't think we're going to expect any great breakthroughs here today in terms of Ukraine. Obviously, Starmer's hosting a summit of European leaders to report back on he and Macron have sort of negotiated. These talks are going to take months potentially. Ukraine will continue to be fighting for many, many weeks and months yet, whatever the peace settlement looked like. But for a successful Starmer today, I think it's getting out the lion's den without getting his head chewed off. The thing is that Donald Trump is an incredibly, volatile person. He can blow up. People are saying, around Keir Starmer are saying, well, he's got a good relationship, which means that they can have the hard conversations because they've got a good relationship, which means he can speak truth to power. We'll see how that goes for him. There are lots and lots of different smaller issues, not necessarily less important, but smaller issues than Ukraine, where this could go on. What are they going to say about tariffs, where Donald Trump has threatened 25% tariffs on the EU?
Has Starmer reacted to that at all, Harry? Did he react to that on the plane at all, or
not really? No, he was very, very coy. He very much wanted to get in the building before he would start to talk about anything. But Brexit Britain, his trump card essentially is the fact we've left the EU, so he isn't going to be necessarily caught up immediately in tariff retaliation between the EU and the US. But the problem is that, and I think the Americans know this, Keir Starmer is trying to renegotiate his position with the EU. And if we closely align once again with Brussels on a whole slew of EU border checks and EU laws, what's the point of a US trade deal? If as Donald Trump said yesterday, he hates the EU. He thinks it was set up, designed to screw America. And so for a prime minister trying to suck up to the Americans and ride the European horse, it's going to be a tricky balancing act for that. Then, of course, we've got the Chagos deal, where the British officials are saying, you know what, actually, the Americans don't even care about this. We'll
and
see
David
about
Lammy,
that.
the Foreign Secretary, saying that actually Trump has a veto if he doesn't like what it looks
Well,
like.
he does. He does have a veto, but also we're the ones picking up the tab. So we might end up in the worst of all worlds. We're paying for a bad deal that actually America gets deal out of, but we're the ones paying the bill. So again, fall out on that. And then if you look at JD Vance, the vice president, look at Elon Musk, the first buddy they call him. They have been very vocal on grooming gangs, on free speech in Britain, on two-tier justice in Britain. I think the last thing that Keir Starmer would want to have to do is have a conversation about British domestic issues. But that could be brought into line today with the news that the influencer Andrew Tate is currently on his way to Florida, negotiated an exit out of Romania by the US government, but he's wanted on rape and human trafficking charges. He denies them, but he's wanted on those charges in the UK. Will Starmer seek extradition? Will all of these conversations could come up. So if we don't get out of this, as I said to Ian Collins earlier, if I'll come back tomorrow, and if we haven't got a decent story, I'll eat my hat.
Yeah, well, indeed. I think Andrew Tate has now actually arrived in America. We've heard that. But yes, Harry, it's fascinating, certainly, with the Chagos deal, because this is in many ways far more important for Keir Starmer than for Donald Trump. And I wonder, just when you mentioned the first buddy and JD Vance and other things, I mean, it only takes one tweet or one remark to be reported from a Trump administration official on domestic issues to change the whole nature of this. But I wonder what your impression of the Trump White House has been so far, because it does seem to be largely, not all the time in Ukraine, but on most issues, it does seem to be a fairly well-disciplined White House, more so than the last 4 years of Donald Trump anyway, although it's early days. Oh, Harry appears to have frozen. There we are. Well, we had him for a reasonable amount of time, I suppose. That is Harry Cole. He is the political editor of The Sun. He is in Washington with the... we got Harry Cole back. He is waiting for Keir Starmer. Harry, I don't know if you heard my question there. I was just asking, I mean, it would only take one tweet from Elon Musk or JD Vance or whomever to sort of put this all off course. I wonder as well how seriously Trump will be taking this, because there's sort of a conveyor belt, isn't there? He's had Macron, now it's Keir Starmer, and tomorrow it's Zelensky. So you're talking about this being make or break for Starmer, but actually for Donald Trump, is this just another day at the office?
Well, look, the special relationship, I know we needily go on about it a lot, but, it is a lot deeper than just who's in the White House and who's in Downing Street. The security infrastructure between these two countries, the technological sharing, the spy sharing, it is a deep relationship. This is an important one. Trump knows that. He's also a big fan of the royal family. He's got great links to Scotland. He's got his golf courses in the UK. He takes a keen interest in the United Kingdom. I think Starmer has rolled the pitch pretty well to make that clear. He's coming here with in his back pocket, he's got an invitation for Trump to visit Balmoral. He is royal mad. So I do think this is more than your standard visit, but all the more reason for it to go wrong there.
So just talk us through what happens in about sort of 15-20 minutes time. Starmer arrives. What happens over the next couple of hours?
There's enough sort of military types who turned up to start a coup, I'd say, around here. I wish I could turn the camera around and show you, but they're clearly lining up. Starmer's due to arrive any minute now. There's lots of soldiers and sailors and Marines coming around with flags. He'll go in, have a quick chat. He will then do a one-on-one meeting with Donald Trump, just the two of them. So, God, wouldn't you love to be a fly on the wall for that bit of it? Then they'll have what the Americans affectionately call a spray, which is where we get our first chance to yell questions at both Trump and Starmer in the Oval Office. Those things can go on. Sometimes, under Biden, they were very short because he didn't like asking questions. But this is a president that quite likes engaging and sparring with the press. So hopefully we'll get some information there. Then they're going to go off for lunch with their officials. I think the foreign secretaries are joining, Marco Rubio on their side and David Lammy on ours. They'll have a couple of hours talks, and then we're meant to, I think about 8 p.m. UK time, they'll be doing that joint press conference. Now, traditionally these things can be quite short, one or two questions on either side. But this is Donald Trump. Some of them go on 45 minutes to an hour. So it could be a long afternoon. I don't, Downing Street would love it if this was a damp squib and it sort of went off without a hitch and no major stories or fallouts or dramas. But I think the odds on that are certainly against them.
Okay, Harry at the White House, thank you. That's Harry Cole, the political editor of The Sun at the White House. He'll be covering all of that in the paper tomorrow. And